Hello, everyone. Happy Monday. I'm here with JZ Zoldak, and we are here to talk about creating win-win situations. JZ and I tend to focus on topics that can help all of us improve our lives, and this is one of them. How are you, JZ?
Oh, I'm doing really well. Yeah.
Nice. Okay, now what were you telling me?
Oh, right. So I talk about win-win situations. I feel like you and I, part of our awesome friendship relationship is that we just naturally maybe create win-win situations, or we like working on projects together where we both are getting something out of it. And yeah, I think that's one of the foundations of why our relationship is so awesome.
Yeah.
And you had sent me this book in the mail. Um, and what it was reminding me of, because I started at the beginning and then it was like, to find a niche for your channel. And then, but then it like, not that I'm recommending this book in particular, just to the studio audience here. Um, but it steps you through and is like, now go create an account, and you have to change your image, and you should change the banner and put your watermark and think of what to do for your description. And it was really reminding me of when we started doing the Twitch stream,
Uh-huh.
and how fun that was of us coming up with like the banner together or what we were gonna do. And it was like such a fun project, and it was fun doing it, and it was just bringing up in me all the fun feelings of that.
Oh, nice.
And then also I went over to my YouTube channel, which I don't really have a channel, but I have a bunch of videos that I had uploaded, but they're all unlisted, so nobody could see them except if you have the URL. And then I would give you the URLs to them, like the Home Sweet Home song I'm playing on guitar and stuff.
Mhm.
And there was also a little clip of a Twitch stream, and by the dates, they were 2 years and like 1 or 2 weeks ago.
Oh, wow. Interesting. We've been hanging out again for over like 2.5 years, maybe.
Yeah, it was August of 2022.
So
That
are you
the
going to make those listed?
Yeah, I am trying to decide whether I should move them, just start a new thing, or just start making that my YouTube channel. I
Mm-hmm.
haven't decided yet. Do you have any advice?
Well, you'll know what to do once you figure out your goals. Like, for example, at the Moira Press, we had to figure out our goals for the channels, and then we were like, oh, we need two channels. We need like a general channel, and then we need like a remediation channel. And so I think once you figure out how to structure your channel, it depends on what your goals are with the channel and then how you structure it. So
Mhm.
think about, yeah, what is your goal? What are you trying to do with it? And then structure it from there. I don't know.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. I don't really have a big goal with it, other than I would love to be adding more content to kind of intermingle with yours. Like, you have a channel, and then you were saying that you could put stuff from my channel in playlists, like, because I could give you a bunch of URLs for like just me singing and playing guitar or whatever,
Mhm.
and then upload the Twitch streams. That'll be
Yeah.
fun.
Well, and then
So
maybe your goal is to build friends online. Like an online presence is actually, it would be like if there was a local bar and you like to go to the same local bar and sit there and make friends and see your local friends. To me, an online presence is literally the same thing, but the local bar is online people. So it's like when I show up online, I'm like, oh, I'm just showing up as a regular on in the online bar, basically. And all the people who are, who like living online just hang out here. Like, so it's like I would look at it as like building a friend base by being yourself. It's like you posting the Twitch stream is like, here's me being on Twitch and playing Magic the Gathering, and then it'd be like you showing up at the local bar playing Magic. Or if you're playing your guitar, it'd be like you showing up at the Whale's Jaw to play in the drum circle. It's like, it's kind of like look at it as like you being you so that the people online can become your friends and vice versa. So that could be one goal, is just friend building, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I see where you're going. I guess so. My thing about the YouTube platform, right, is like I know I'm not a very good guitar player or a singer, but I like to do it anyway, and then it's fun to share with friends. But if I put it out there, like people might think that mm, I don't know, like that, not necessarily that I think I'm good and I'm not, but like they might think it's done in earnest, but it comes across as like someone who's really awful at doing something.
Well,
You
actually,
know,
first of all,
doing
you're
it.
disturbing me because you're actually a really good guitar player and singer. So I don't know where you learned that narrative. That's actually you. Like, that's not true.
Oh,
So,
hmm.
like you were in a rock band. I met you in a rock band. You were awesome in that rock band. You had a bunch of fans in that rock band. If what you don't if you are lacking anything, it's built up. It's filled in by charisma and like stage presence. Like you're born for rock and roll. Like I don't like what happened between that last iteration of you and this iteration of you that like you missed out on yourself. Like I don't.
Oh, hmm. I don't know. But well, I maybe it's like the natural criticalness we have of ourselves and wanting to do a better job at things. And then when things are recorded, we play them back and we're like, oh, my voice sounds weird, or oh, I made a mistake here. And maybe it is. It's like the hypercriticalness of your own stuff that you wish was better.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's what it's like to have Virgo in your chart. Like, I don't really have Virgo in my chart. Like, I don't, it's like when I play the piano, I actually hear a beautiful thing. I don't hear a critical thing. Like, because I actually got to a point where I was playing my piano in, my living room by myself, and I thought, it would be a literal shame if I died playing the piano alone in a living room because this is so beautiful. And if I could touch someone's heart and soul with this piano, like that would be a way better thing. Like, so I don't know. I don't really have that about my own music. I mean, I do hit wrong notes and stuff like that, but I do love my own music. In fact, Alicia Keys says that her own music is her favorite music in the world. And I think but my bandmates always telling me that I have delusions of grandeur, and I'm like, well, if you're going to be a musician, you might as well pull up your delusion of grandeur pants because it's a live performance art. Like you can't paint a painting and hang it on a wall like a painter does. Like they can like perfect it and then put it on a wall and just hang it there, but they're not showing up and doing a live performance. So, I mean, I think part of being a musician and being good at it is not being very critical. Is it's more being celebratory of what like were you critical of your drum circle performance?
Oh no, because that sounds awesome.
Okay. Well, don't
Yeah.
you think our home sweet home and our heaven or knocking on heaven's door sound awesome?
Oh, yeah, the ones that we have with both of us on it, I think sound awesome as well. I guess maybe it's just this is so raw. It's like and maybe that's part of it too. That's part of the charm, I think, sometimes when I see someone else do something like this, which is just like it's just one take. It's just like you hit record and then you played it with all of the whatever, and no overdubs, nothing to hide anything, no edits. It's just like a thing.
Oh,
And yeah,
well,
yeah,
you know what
anyway.
that is? That's B-roll content. In fact, so like the River Cats has this, we have some pro-recorded recordings and that I made music videos over, and those get more views. They get like 500, 700 views because they're repeatable and perfect, and like you can listen to them over and over again. But then we have a bunch of B-roll of us just in the studio, and those get watched too. Those get like maybe 55 views, which you think, oh, that's not very many views. It's not worth it to have it up there. I'm like, well, that's like 55 people who are like, I want to see the River Cats in the studio, like being imperfect and B-roll. Like B-roll exists for a reason. Like it's for super
Yeah.
fans and people who want to see you just being organic. So I think that's just a different kind of content than if you got on your editor and edited it. That's Virgo behaviors, like to edit and make it like a repeatable product, that's just a different product.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. Yeah, you're right. And yeah, I just think it would be fun to have, but I don't really care if nobody watches it. Actually, maybe it'll be better if fewer people watch it, but just the people who care watch it, you know? That's the
Well,
thing. I want people who care to watch it, but I don't want like it to be misinterpreted as like I think it's awesome or something. I don't know what it
Well, you
is.
can write in the comments section. Well, we're having a win-win here where we're talking production. But like
Hmm.
I think you can write in the comments section lo-fi jam of whatever song But like okay, it would be like if
Yeah.
you were at the bar and you picked up your guitar and just jammed for a song. Like some people would be like, "Oh man," they'd start listening, and other people would ignore it, right? But if you went up
Yeah.
on the stage and you had your rehearsed practicing and then you played, it would be like, oh, people are there to see the show. It's kind of like what I like about online content is you can release it and then who wants to see that thing can see that thing. Like if they want to listen to you just jamming on that song, they can. If they're like, no, this isn't for me, it's not because you were bad or good, it's because they don't, it's just so yeah, that B-roll content's going to get less views, but like, the Beatles, they sold, millions of copies of the album, but then there's a set of fans who likes their B-roll content and they like to sit around watching, the Beatles do everything that they do.
Yeah, right. I hear you.
Yeah. Okay.
Right on. Well, thanks for talking me through that. See, you're right. It's a win-win right there.
Yeah, it's a win for me because you start expressing yourself more after we, I don't know, work out the nits of things. And it's like, it actually upsets me when you think that you're bad because I'm like, I don't understand where you got that. Like, that's just, is that just a Virgo in your chart? What is that?
Oh, well, it's also whatever people in my life who have told me that.
Dude, whenever someone tells me I suck, I'd be like, yeah, you obviously don't know what you're talking about. No, I don't know. No, I don't know. I've dealt with so much critique in order to be an online artist or a public artist. Like, you'd be surprised. But it's so funny because I've been getting all these critiques lately that my videos are too circusy. And,
Mhm.
so it's like, oh, I could have taken those critiques to heart. And what I've learned to do is when people critique me, I just literally freak out. I just overstim and I'm just like, oh my God, that critique. I freak out on it, and then I'm just like, no, I'm not listening. And then I got an email from Judith Hill, who I actually care about her opinion. She's one of
Mhm.
my best friends in the field, and she's like, these videos are the most brilliant thing I've ever seen. I predict that the masses are going to be watching these whimsical circus videos and it's like, oh,
Yeah,
other Pisces
yeah,
can see this, my vision, and like, so it's like what you'll
yeah.
find is that the people who are meant to be your fans will have a good composite chart with you and they'll just like what you do. And if someone has a bad composite chart with you, literally don't even listen to them.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's the thing too. Is like I don't care if people don't like it. I just don't want them to tell me that. But I guess I could just have them tell me that and then be like, all right, well, that's fine too.
Dude, don't you know the rule about haters, man? Without haters, you're nobody.
I guess it's
Yeah.
true.
Trolls and haters, man.
All right.
Yeah, you should
My
you should actually only take critiques from people you have a good composite chart with. How about that rule? Like if
Oh
they
yeah, all right.
you check their chart and then if it's a good composite, you'd be like, oh, I must have really done something wrong.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Okay.
Nice.
Well, I'm wearing my win-win earrings because there's dice here, and actually this brings us to our first point, which is like we're actually going to get critiqued for our video already because we didn't talk about the topic yet. We've been meandering on these other topics, and people would critique that. Do you know that?
Mhm. Yeah.
So how do you
Yeah,
feel
and
about that
actually there's it's true. There are people who will not think that what we have to say is interesting and it's like wasting their time and hopefully they'll just change the channel, right?
Yeah, yeah, totally. Well, and it's like, yeah, I mean, yeah, what I like is when people don't like the video and they just turn it off. And some videos, like, there's got to be low view, high view. Like, in perfection standpoints, there would be like only the high view things are the good things. And like, I like B-roll content. Like I like low view things, like art things, you know? Like there's certain posts I make on Facebook that get very little likes because they're not likable. And I'm actually not trying for likability, I'm trying for authenticity. And it's like, oh, but I needed to say that though. Like I know you guys didn't like it, but I needed to say that. Like sometimes I'll be like, if you don't know astrological remediation, you're not even a nice astrologer. Like they don't even like that. They're like, I'm like, yeah,
Mm,
someone had to say it though. You know what I mean? But like likability doesn't even mean that you are cool. It just means you're palatable and like likable. I don't know.
yeah, interesting.
Okay.
It's so weird how when somebody else does or says something, we take it like that it's done. And of course, like they said that they did that. You don't even question that they had the right to or could have or should have, and then you just immediately launch into, or maybe I do, start judging it, of like this or that. But it's like you don't question its mere existence even, but you just assume that things should be able to exist. But for me, then yeah, it's for my own stuff. Sometimes I question its existence. Maybe that's not true either. I don't know. I
Mhm.
have to think about that.
Yeah.
All
Yeah,
right. What else
I think I know what happened to you. I'm not gonna say it though. All
we?
right. So glad we reconnected so you can see who you really are. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Principles of inner. Okay. What we are reading today is about the 7 habits of highly effective people. One of the habits is creating win-win situations or win-win partnerships. And like,
Hmm.
okay, so according to this book, you should actually only do things if it's a win-win. So there's like win-win, lose, win-lose, lose-win, lose-lose-win, and then there's win-win or no deal. And actually, you're supposed to go, if something's not a win-win, it's a no deal.
I like that.
So what do you think about that? Like, if you had a friendship and it wasn't a win-win, would you cut it off?
Yes.
Okay, so how do
Now
you
I
know?
would. Because I've been in enough that it was not a win-win. So I think life has learned me.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so how do we know if something's a win-win?
Oh, that's a good question because I don't know what this is for. I think that's actually what always made me stay in win no win situations for a long time was my own still like questioning, like, well, maybe I don't understand, or maybe I don't know what this is for, or maybe it will turn out good, or maybe like the other person just hasn't done their share yet. And I think relentless optimism sometimes is you gotta cut it off, I think I've learned.
So what you're trying to say is you've had some win-loses, but you were trying to be the bigger, more philosophical person, be like, there must be a higher reason for this, or I must be learning something. That's what people always do when they're in a bad compositor. They're like, I'm learning so much from this relationship. I'm like, yeah, well, uh, relationship isn't school, man. It's supposed to be fun. Like, I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
I'm more of a
Yeah, yeah,
meditation of just like, let's find a win-win here. Like, we don't need to learn this much, but I
yeah.
see what you're saying. Is like there's always something to be learned from a win-lose.
Well, no, you gotta give it time too. So like maybe this person, okay, there's a win-win overall, but then if you slice it into like, well, maybe one day you're winning, they're losing, maybe the next day they're winning, you're losing, like uh at what scale, over what scale of time does it have to be win-win?
Well, okay, so according to this book, and I don't know where it is in the book, but you're as soon as something is not a win-win, even like a little bit, you're supposed to either cut it off or change it to be a win-win, like right now.
Ooh,
So
okay.
if let's say your partner's like, taking everything from you and you're gaining nothing or something like that would be crazy, of course, but let's say that was happening. You're supposed to nip that right in the bud. Actually, you're not even supposed to let that go on for a day. You know,
Yeah.
like for example, okay, my boyfriend just bought groceries and he like went to the grocery store, he bought the groceries, and I made sure to pay him back half the grocery bill like right away. Because if I even let that go a day, it's a win-lose. Like he lost. He went to the grocery store and did a nice errand for me, and then he lost money because I didn't even give him half the money. Like that's a lose, and I win. Like I get the groceries and then I get them for free. Like he's lose. My boyfriend just lost.
Mm,
You know what I
that's not.
mean?
Yeah, no, I hear you.
We don't
Yeah.
even want to lose for a day. Like I had to have two business renegotiations this week because in the these were long-term relationships I've been having, and all of a sudden things tweaked, so it was a win-lose. Like one of them, like that I'm like losing and the other person's winning super hard, and I was like, okay, we need to like I need to be winning too. Like, but it's not narcissism. It's not like I'm greedy, but it's just like it's not sustainable if things
Yeah.
aren't a win-win. It's gonna
Yeah.
end. It's gonna blow up.
Yeah. Actually, that is what I have learned, and that is why I no longer like wait it out for the other person to do their share because I've come to realize that there's no like explaining it later and making like them ever see that it was uneven. You only ever get to like reset it from that point, it seems.
Yes. Yes.
If you want to keep the relationship, yeah, you have to start over again. And then it's like if you had been on the losing side, it's just like that's wiped out.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean, I think in according to this book,
Hmm.
what I want you to learn is win-win or no deal. No
Yeah.
deal, not even for a day. You know what I mean? Like if you and I were supposed to meet today and like you're losing from this conversation, like no deal, man. It doesn't go up. Like, that's how highly effective people live, right? Like you can live either way. But this is the seven habits of highly effective people. These are the CEOs of the world. These are the top dogs of the world. Here's another one. Okay, let's say someone approached you for art, right? Like or what's something, let's say let's say they approached you for astrology and you're like 20 years into knowing astrology and they're like 2 days into knowing astrology. So you have to like teach them and teach them and teach them in order to like that's just one example where it could look like a win-lose, like you're losing and they're winning, right? Because you're losing time and
Mhm.
stuff. How could you tweak that into being a win-win? Because that's one of the things they're supposed to say. If you like somebody, right, and the situation's going on, you say you like this person, you got to tweak it and find a way to make this a win-win.
Well, I guess if you really enjoyed spending time with them and they made you think about things in a different light, or I mean, if you were a natural teacher who loved the feeling of explaining something to someone, then maybe it could be a win-win, even though it seems like unbalanced. I think you have to take into account the two people as well.
Yeah,
And then but another thing is like but if in this situation explaining something that you know to someone who doesn't know it is a drag for you, then they have to do something for you, like maybe they know 20 years of like something else that you actually want to learn. Like it wouldn't work if they happen to learn 20 years of something that you could really care less about, right?
right. Well, it's interesting because I like what you're saying. Like, if it's fun for you, you could do it for free for a while, but it's really not sustainable to keep doing that because there's going to be one day when you're tired or like you're like, oh God, I don't feel like doing all this work right now for free. And you're just be like, oh my God, and then it's not going to be sustainable. It's like it's going to go downhill, like, right?
Mhm.
But let's say now we tweak the situation and they bought you a meal. Okay, like you literally went out to lunch every time and they bought you a meal, it cost them 13 bucks, right? And you got fed and you had an hour where you're just chatting about Astro, which you love anyway, and
Yeah.
you're getting a meal.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a win-win because they got an Astro lesson for merely $13 when it could have been $100. and you
Mhm.
got a meal and you see what I mean? And now it's like, oh, even if you're tired, you're like, oh man, I can't wait to go eat my sandwich and just talk Astro for an hour. It's no big deal.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, it has to, that's true. It has to. Oh, I did also hear this thing about, and maybe this is win-win in a different way of saying it, is is this charging your batteries or draining your batteries? So in your example, when you're going out to eat with them and enjoying that time, and you don't have to cook for yourself, and you get to eat something you want, then it's charging your batteries, because otherwise it would be draining your batteries, having to like explain to them, spend an hour doing that, and then having to figure out what you're gonna eat and make it for yourself.
Exactly.
All right, I see.
Yeah, so it's like I've learned to be actually super rigid about this, where it's like, yeah, it may be fun for me to teach you for free once, but like there's no way this is going to be sustainable unless you literally buy me a meal every time, or like you give me 50 bucks, which is a win-win, like you pay me to teach you astrology, or like whatever it is that makes it sustainable, that is kind of where we're going. You know what I'm saying? Recently I cut off this friendship, and I didn't really mean to cut it off. I just said like I don't want to make this plan anymore because it wasn't a win-win. It was like it was a lot of like giving of advice to the other person, and like it wasn't like I ever would have seek them out for advice, or you know what I mean? And it looked like a mentor relationship for free, and I was
Mhm.
just like, oh my God, it's not, I'm not looking forward to this hour because I'm working for free is essentially how it felt. And I literally had to cut that puppy off. Like I just like I couldn't because I'm a CEO basically, and it's like when you're a highly effective person, you're not just a person. You're like up on the level of a lot of people need your time. It's like there's some people who are looking there. I guess if you're bored and you have nothing to do, then anyone hanging out with you is a win-win. Like I guess.
Mhm. Well, I wouldn't say that if I were an introvert,
Oh,
you
that's
know? Like I would actually rather hang out with myself than hang out with someone else. On the
interesting.
base level, most people.
Okay. Okay. Well, okay, so yeah, like I recently had someone approach the school and I have a lot of people approach the school and they want to teach a class here. And I
Mhm.
let them. I let 6 months of teachers go into the queue and I was like, all right, you people want to teach at the school, that's fine. That's great. It's a win-win. Like it'll build the school and it'll build you. But what ha started happening is no one would show up for their classes, so it's like a lose-lose. Like we lose time and they lose time because like it was like a lose-lose. So
Yeah.
we literally can't do that anymore. But because I'm trying to be a highly effective person, I had to figure out a way to take those inquiries and turn them into a win-win from
How
a
did you do that?
lose-lose. Well, that's why I started the YouTube channel, was because it's like, okay, if they're trying to grow their business by being at another school or whatever, it also helps us to grow our business by being online on YouTube. So I was like, all right, well, let's meet and make a YouTube episode. And so that's a win for them and a win for us. And we don't have to like cancel because there's no students and it's this thing. So I turned
Oh
it
yeah.
into a YouTube show. And
Mhm.
I'm trying to make one video a day. So it's like I need content for the day. So it's a win for me because I need the content, and it's a win for them because they need the crowd.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, cool. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then, it can be asynchronous with the audience. That you don't have to organize that they come together at this like moment in time.
Yeah. So I mean, what do you think of that? Of like tweaking, you did that with your yogi group. Didn't you tweak it so it was a win-win? Because it was going down a path where you were like you had finished your, can I talk about your yogi group? You had finished like your lessons and then
Oh yeah, we finished the modules that we had this kind of structured uh courseware. And then had we wanted to talk to each other still every week, but we didn't have any like format or framework around it. And I was just super excited to talk about manifestation, because it was something that I was learning and it was so exciting and it was really working well for me and I wanted to share that with them. So I kind of um force talked to them about it, or like I could just kept bringing it up and bringing up like the book I was reading, and then they got excited at it, and then like then they started also, yeah, contributing manifestation videos that they had seen and stuff, and it really, I think, enlivened the group again. It's
Yeah.
true.
So that was a place where you guys were all winning because you were studying Ayurveda together. So not only were you winning with having friendships, but you were winning by studying something that you were all interested in together. And then you guys were just kind of hanging out as friends, which was still a win. But you are a highly effective person. You're like, I want even more of a win. I like when it's friendship and we're learning something. So then you
Yeah.
added in manifestation to make it even more of a win. So I think um, that's a really good lesson in tweaking things to a win-win. We don't always have to let people go if it's not a win-win. We say, I love this person. Let's tweak it so we are both winning.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think we've discovered that about ourselves. You and I in particular love a project
Yeah, oh yeah.
and so much more than um just spending time with no agenda, no outcome, no creative expression made manifest.
Yeah, and it's interesting because what you and I both get from, like, for example, this episode that we're making, let's talk about the win-wins here. It's like you're not building an astrology business or a school, so you don't really need it for that, right? But there must be like I win over here at the Moira Press when you and I do episodes because number one, the crowd wins in learning something really good. Like today, they're learning win-wins. And it's maybe not astrology based, but you're kind of like an advisor to the students in the crowd and to me of like how to be a better person, how to keep growing. Like we're doing growth mindset, like tension release, like we're talking about general things that make our students better. So like at the Moyer Press, we're winning and talking to you because you're making us all better. And they say if something's not growing, it's dying. Like we're all growing because of you. We are not dying. We are living. So that's why we win. But then what is it that you get out of this? Like you're not growing an astrology business.
Oh, that's true, but I actually love making these videos because just like I said at the top, I rewatched the ones that we made 2 years ago, and it just like I just get so joyful about it, and I love like our former selves of 2 years ago, and like what we looked like then and what we were doing then, and I kind of like the chronicling of like awesome moments in life because it keeps reminding me, not that I need reminding. It gives me self-entertainment for my later self. And I do think they come out good and I think like, whoa, those guys are talented and like that's me. And I think that's really kind of fun. And I do like, why do I love to learn to play songs on guitar and just play them? Because I don't know, it's really fun. And then I love to, yeah, I love because it makes me feel creatively expressed. I work a 9 to 5, and then I also am a like really creative person. And so I don't feel like I need to do creativity in my work of the same kind that I can express outside of work.
Interesting. So it sounds like you get a lot of things out of it that are tangible and you can totally verbalize. And so, yeah, because you and I never have faltered, like maybe we shouldn't show up Monday or maybe, because we both are like, wow, I'm winning from this episode or I won from that episode in some way. Let's talk about money exchange as a win-win. People are always down on money and it's like, if I'm going to do a reading for somebody, like an astrology reading, like they win from that because I took a look at their chart and we hold the container for their inquiry and we really focus on them for an hour and look at, what do they need for this topic or this situation. And I think that is a win. I think focusing on an inquiry is a win. But then when they pay me money, it's like such a win because I can buy a new shirt or I can buy myself dinner or I can pay my rent or whatever. Don't you think money is a win, like helps there to be a win-win sometimes?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Money prevents, um, well, money acknowledges your what you not sacrificed, but like things have opportunity cost, right? So if you're busy doing a reading, that means that you're not doing something else in that hour that could have been more beneficial for you. So money is a way of just flat out paying for the opportunity cost.
Yeah, I mean, I think, people who are anti-capitalist or whatever, I'm like, well, you're missing the point. Like, money makes it a win-win. Like, because if someone pays me, then they can ask me for 10 readings in 1 month if they want, because I'm winning every time I do a reading for them. I'm able to pay my rent with that, or I'm able to, feed myself. So it's like that makes it a win-win. And because it's a win-win or no deal, like if there's no win, it's not going to happen again. You know what I mean? So like it actually allows a thing to happen. I did just think of an idea where I was like, oh, I could do 15-minute readings for $40. Like the reason I did $40 is it's actually 27.50, but then I have to take the cost of like emailing the people to schedule and then I look at the chart like so I'm like, okay, $40 would kind of pay for all the time of a 15-minute reading. But I'm like, that's a win-win because it's a lower price point. And
Mhm.
it's like also then it would be fun for me to do a 15, but say I'm not a capitalist in that I'm trying to make more win-wins that, maybe a $40 is a win-win for somebody who can't afford the whole reading or yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's like, so I think as business people, we can always keep thinking of like, how can I make more win-wins or I like this approach to exchange is, do both people win in this exchange? You know? Um, so okay. Have you ever had like an ultimate win lose that you just was like that was a lose?
Mm, Can't think of anything right now. I mean, in the end, I think I have the personality that if something was a win-lose, I would draw out of it the lesson and that would pay for it.
Uh,
And then I would actually not do the thing again. I think, well, I like to think of myself as learning from all my experiences in life, and I really don't have a lot of regrets, even the things that kind of, dragged on and stopped me from doing other things. I don't really have a lot of regrets.
yeah, you could turn every lose into a win by taking a spiritual lesson from it. That's a good way to look at it. Yeah.
What about you?
There are little things like this is why I have a manager and an agent and all that kind of stuff is because like in the arts or when you get into show business, it's like there's a lot of people wanting stuff from you, like wanting to be on your show, wanting to be, in front of your crowd, and you have to be careful because, there's a lot of cases where you could just waste an hour of the day working with somebody. They have like three people in their crowd, and you don't really like do a crowd exchange or like I think in the arts, like I'm not only for sale monetarily. I'm for sale and trading basically. I get traded out or whatever. Um, but yeah, like I think we're very careful at the Moira Press to not walk into a win lose, and just because I don't literally have time for that. Like if we're not winning in some way because people are winning by interacting with us most of the time, like they get a crowd in front of them, they get advice, like whatever. I mean, I'm not trying to be like delusions of grandeur. I'm just saying when you're, I don't know, like if you run a TV show, like people win by being on your TV show because they get in front of a crowd, it's like or whatever. But I think I'm more careful in my old age to not walk into a win lose because like I just don't have time. I can't afford it, because I have to make a certain amount of money in a day, and whether that be with like something paying for itself in marketing costs, or it pays for itself literally. It's like I do a lot of philanthropy though, like where I work down, like I work, like with people who don't have a big crowd or whatever, but I find a win in it. Like I guess I try to be a yes man and then tweak it to a win-win.
Mhm.
Rarely, yeah, I don't really get caught in win-loses very
Mhm.
often. I dated a firefighter, and that was kind of a win-lose because he just made me feel bad the whole time, and I was like, "This, I'm losing." I didn't know that I hadn't read this book at the time, but I mean, yeah, I mean, I guess there have been some dating situations where I like didn't really gain anything from that. Um,
Mhm.
but do you see how when you're talking about this, it starts to feel bad, like, oh, I gotta gain something from every. It seems transactional, but it's actually a fairness principle.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Yeah, and I think with the firefighter, you learned what you didn't want, like what you needed to stand on as like this is like on my list of what I want. You know?
Yeah. So something in this chapter is an abundance mentality. I mean, I think in
Hmm.
the whole win-lose culture, there's this idea if one person wins, the other has to lose.
Oh, right. Yeah. Hmm.
But you see how this is
But
abundance mentality?
yes, yes. Yeah, that's definitely the thing that there's more pie. It's not a zero-sum game.
Yeah, and that's why.
Especially if you think that you're manifesting your own life. Like if you believe in manifestation, right? Then there isn't a limit like that, you have to give in order to get. There's plenty for everyone if you just think of a different world and then manifest and make that happen instead.
Yeah, that's I kind of like don't say no to things. I tweak them until we can find a win-win, and then I go forward because I feel like I have an abundance mentality. It's like if we do this as a win-win, we can work together again in the future. Like this is sustainable and everyone is winning and everyone is winning. Like so I think I like the abundance mentality of it, of like find your win-wins with everyone and we will all be successful. They say like when one boat rises, may all boats rise. It's like that's where I'm looking at with the win-win.
Yeah.
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 Okay. Well, there's another thing in this chapter, and I know we have to go soon, but there's something called performance agreements. And you look at the desired results, the guidelines, the resources you're going to use, accountability and consequences. So, like, from on a higher level, we do this at the Moira Press. Is like if we're going to work with somebody for a long time, we have performance agreements. That keep it a win-win. Like we both show up on time. Like you and I have a performance agreement where we show up on time. We've been doing
Hmm.
that for 2.5 years. Like if one of us started to be late, like it would just be like, this is like a lose. I'm losing time. Like when it's a kind of thing. Um, like I don't know. I just think there's something to be said about like agreements as being
Hmm.
part of the win-win, and you have to both live up to what you agreed on because you kind of set a contract that will make something a win-win, and then if you both do your half, then it is a win-win. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that in the situations in which I, felt like I lost more than I won, I think maybe a lot of it had to do with I assumed that there were certain like standards of behavior or certain like amounts of effort you would put into something. And I would think like, oh, well, the other person just for some reason, like they couldn't, they're trying as hard as they can or whatever. But it turns out like actually they weren't. They just didn't think they had to try any harder or were getting away with not trying harder and mine never saying anything. So it was like, I think you're right about the clearness in the agreements is the most important thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I think when you're a highly effective person, it's really good to work with other people who try to be highly effective. You know, because if you're working with somebody who's like nonplussed and they're like, I don't care if I show up on time, I don't care if this goes well, it's like you're gonna lose. That's a lose. You know, it's like if someone's trying to win, then you can both win. Like, but if somebody isn't trying to win or trying at all, then that's a lose. You know? So I think if someone's trying, then we can always find a win-win. That's actually kind of the requirement I have to work with me at the Moira Press is like, are you gonna try? Like, how hard are you trying? You know, and that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. Then it gets difficult for me sometimes because I'm a little too generous in my thinking, like they're trying as hard as they can. I don't have a very good calibration on that sometimes, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Well, the lesson for today, everyone, is if you're gonna work with people and you're gonna collaborate, go for a win-win because it's the most sustainable and abundant option.
Yeah, and have a working agreement.
Yes, totally.
Wait, can you wait, I know you're wrapping up, okay? Can you say some of the bullet points of what goes into the agreement?
Um, Dang, I lost my place.
Because I'm
Okay.
very interested in this. I
Okay.
have to do a project out.
Desired results. So identify what is to be done and when.
Hmm.
The guidelines, which specify the parameters, principles, and policies within which the results are to be accomplished. Resources. Identify the human, financial, technical, or organizational support available to help accomplish the results. Accountability. Set up the standards of performance in the time of evaluation. And consequences. Specify good and bad, natural and logical, what does and will happen as a result of the evaluation. So according to this, you basically work with somebody once and you try for a win-win and then you evaluate what happened and then you decide if you're going to work together again.
Oh yeah, excellent. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's good. Iterative evaluation with feedback loops.
I'm watching you, JZ. From now on, only win-wins.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. I won't see you tomorrow, but I'll see you soon.
Okay,
All right.
bye everybody.
Bye.